Again.
Yes, we are. We are back with y'all, and I'm actually so excited about today's topic. I feel like it has been highly requested since the very first video that we dropped.
Yeah, high key.
Oh my gosh, everybody's been asking us, but we're finally just going to share what our current beliefs are.
Yeah, so we'll kind of tap into religion versus spirituality.
Yes, and we've said it before, but we are definitely on the side more of spirituality. We are not religious people.
At all. And let's explain it.
Yes, let's explain exactly what that means, because it doesn't mean we don't believe in anything.
Yeah, so I guess we'll have to break it down to them.
Yep. All right, so let's kind of explain the differences that we view for religion versus spirituality. We have a cute little picture that we're going to put up, and it kind of shows the difference. So religion has a dogmatic and unquestionable assembly of rules that need to be followed without question. Spirituality invites you to reason it all, to question it all, and to decide your actions and assume the consequences. I think that's a really good way of kind of separating it a little bit, because it's the truth. Like if you're part of a religion and it says, okay, listen, yoga is bad, that is of the devil, you should not do yoga, then that is it. No questions are to be asked. Yeah, you just follow it.
Yeah.
And that is how you're attaining to the religion. Versus spirituality, it allows you to look at things and
question all things.
Yeah, question all things and form your own belief from it. So once you have done the research on it, you then get to decide what that means for you.
Yeah, for you and your own personal journey.
Yes.
And you know, we get a lot of people in the comments, especially witnesses that are, you know, still sneaking and watching these videos. Well, what do you believe? What do you study? Well, what God do you worship then if it's not this, if it's not the truth? And I always explain it like NBA teams. If one person likes the Lakers and they say, well, who's your team? Oh, I don't have no team.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta have a team. No, I just don't watch basketball, not my thing.
Right.
They might, a lot of people cannot understand or wrap their head around, why don't you belong to another religion?
They cannot fathom the thought of leaving a religion and just
not having
another one.
Yeah, or another example is, think of the ocean, and you got a case of water with 20 bottles.
Yeah.
And you dump each bottle in the ocean.
Yeah.
And you got 20 bottles just floating in the ocean. Each bottle is religion. And the people inside of this feel like this is the only thing out. This is it. Not realizing this is just a bottle of water inside of the ocean.
Oh, that is
the ocean is
a good example.
Oh, thank you.
I love
the
that
ocean
analogy.
Is spirituality.
Yeah.
Each bottle is a different religion. And what did it say? There are about 4,000 religions?
Yes. Okay, this is a point that I love to bring up to people who believe that their religion is the one and only way. So there are 4,000, maybe even more religions, okay?
Yep.
What does that give you? If every single religion believes that their religion is the only way, the only light, the only truth, and the only way to God, then what chance does that give you of being correct if there's 4,000 religions? I'll tell you, it gives you, because I'm a numbers girl, okay? It gives you a 0.00025% chance of being correct, that you are the only true religion and you are the only way to God. And that's just not what I believe.
No, it's not. Is not correct. And the only difference between somebody that's more spiritual versus somebody that's religious, there's 4,000 religions. 3,999 feel like everybody is wrong except one.
Mm-hmm. No, all 4,000 think that, probably.
Well, they feel like everybody is wrong except for they one.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So out of the 4,000, 3,999 is wrong, one is right. Every one of those 4,000 feel like that.
Yeah.
Spiritual people feel like all 4,000 is wrong. So we just one number off.
Yeah, to me, I feel like all 4,000 have right in them, you know,
because they come from spirituality.
Yes. So if they would all just get at a table together and let's just hash it out, let's just talk about it. But I don't think that they will ever do that. You know what I mean?
It's about divide and conquer.
It is. And this is why it's a human conquest. Because if you look at religion too versus spirituality, we have another little, what are those called?
A Venn diagram.
Thank you, Venn. A Venn diagram. I lose my words, guys, okay? So it says religion is more traditional. Spirituality is more of a connection to a higher power. And I feel like that describes it so perfectly because that's how you feel. Religion is based more on moral codes and it's more of a collective thinking. That does not mean that spiritual people don't have moral codes. They do, okay?
Right.
But it's more of an individualized thing. So
Yeah, it's not set in stone.
no, just because somebody tells me yoga is bad does not mean that I'm going to say that's against my moral code because it's not.
Right.
Okay.
I want to find out for myself
Yes.
and through my own life experiences
Yes.
versus somebody just saying you can't do that and I just say okay.
Right, exactly. So religion is more of a human-based construction, and I think that is so important to emphasize. Human-based construction. And spirituality is more universal and innate. So we truly believe that you have innate feelings that you are just simply born with and innate powers that you are born with. You just have to take time to tap into those powers. Our bodies recognize what is truth and recognize what is a lie. Like, have you ever been told something or you're talking about something and all of a sudden like the hairs on your arm just stick straight up?
Yeah, or
Well, it's happening to me now. That's how I always know.
it's
I'm
one of
telling
those
the
things.
truth.
Or even like when you think of somebody and you call them and they say, we was just talking about you.
Yeah.
You felt, you're not taught this in religion,
Right.
but you felt something in your spirit and you were connected to somebody else and you think, I need to call them right now.
Yes.
And this person is maybe in another state, ain't talked to them in a few days and they
Yes.
would think about you at that time.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
There's just some things that are not explainable whatsoever. Like even when it comes to things about the afterlife and you ever hear about stories of like somebody died but the family members know that
Yep.
they died at that time, like they just had this crushing feeling
Yeah.
within them, and that further shows the oneness of all of us.
Yeah.
So all of us are really just like we are one.
We're all connected.
Yes, we are all connected, and that goes even to the trees, the animals, all life forms are connected.
It's all one.
Yes, but I think religion does a really good job at trying to divide people.
It does,
yeah.
because we can't, just like, not just in Jehovah's Witnesses, you can have a Jehovah's Witness that's a genuine human being,
Yes.
and you can have somebody that's a Baptist, but the fact that you have a different belief to me, I can't view you as equal, or, you
Yeah.
know, my beliefs are better than yours.
Yes, and
Or-
my beliefs are truer, like they're better, yeah.
And the only difference is very small things that are man-made, but in the end of the day, me and you are trying to survive. We
Yeah.
just want to be good people. We want to help an old lady walking across the street. We want to teach our kids to be good human beings.
Right.
And that's the whole goal of just the
Right.
whole spiritual journey of life. But the religion is to separate everybody, to keep us fighting. We fight over everything there is to keep us divided. We divide it by color, by age, the older generation and the younger generation.
Economic class.
By economic class, by gender. Men, women are different.
Men/women.
Yup, everything. To where this person didn't go to school for anything and this person went to school for 15 years.
Yes.
Oh, we're better.
Yes.
Everything there is to divide humans, they use it. And religion has been one of them since day one.
Yes, babe, I completely agree.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, even with, because I feel like we're going to get comments that are like, well, I'm a spiritual person and I'm religious. I'm not saying that you can't be. A lot of people can be spiritual within their religion, okay?
Yeah.
But I do feel like there's a difference between like spirituality and then like spirituality within religion.
Well, you
'Cause
know,
there's like a glass ceiling.
you know that a point that we could bring out is
What?
it was on Netflix. I'm not sure if it's still on there, but you can find this on YouTube if you've never seen The Secret.
Oh.
That was when I want to say that's when I really woke up. I already woke up from religion, but I was just on this search, like, all right, is it this religion? Is it that one?
Yes.
What is it? And so
So many.
it's so many to pick from,
Yeah.
and I understood once a family member said you need to watch The Secret.
Yeah.
And so there's universal laws. There's 12 different ones,
There's
I believe.
12 universal laws. Yes.
There's a lot to pick from, and one of the big ones is the law of attraction.
Yeah.
You hear about it. So things like this you've been hearing your whole life, but it never registered.
Yes.
You know, you can be whoever you want to believe. You know, the mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Yes.
You hear these things all the time. If you see it, if you believe it, you can see it.
Yeah.
Yep. If you can believe it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
Yes.
You hear these things. So The Secret basically talks about how universal law works with us, and the things that you speak, the things you think become what you attract in life subconsciously.
Yeah.
And to break that down, think of, if you were Jehovah's Witness and you lost a job, and they say Jehovah's gonna bless you with a new job. You believe so much in this religion that an opportunity has to come no matter what. So your mind is constantly, something good is going to happen for me. Something good is going to happen. You get the job and you've been convinced it's because I'm a Jehovah's Witness and God did this for me, not realizing it wasn't something outside of yourself. It was something within that believed this. You thought about it, you spoke about it, it became your reality.
Yes.
And the same happens when you get this fellowship. I know for me, I thought, once you get this fellowship, it's the end of the world. Satan is going to attack you.
Everything bad is going to happen.
Yep, everything bad is going to happen to you. So now your mind goes from everything's going to be okay to, all right, something bad is going to happen. And you just searching for anything bad.
You're constantly thinking about it.
Yep,
it's in your mind subconsciously too, because they have told you that, okay?
Yep.
So if the leaders have told you that, it's a subconscious fear that you have and that you're clinging onto so hard without you even realizing it. So then it comes to manifest in your reality.
Yep, that becomes life. You see this in so many examples. People that have dated the wrong people over and over, but haven't healed. So subconsciously, they're always thinking about, I always attract the worst people. Why does this always happen to me? So you are in your mind entertaining, well, I'm not going to get my hopes up because this person is going to be bad just like the last one. So you are constantly attracting the wrong people because you haven't taken time to be like, I deserve to be happy. I'm going to have this happen in my life.
Yeah. And that actually goes into one of the other laws, which is like law of vibration or something like that. But it goes into talking about, this is why spirituality is kind of an individual journey. And I say that people will run to religion a lot of times. And that's why sometimes you find the worst people in religion, because they're not happy and they're not content with the person that is looking back at them in the mirror. So they're running from themselves, and they run and hide under this umbrella of religion, thinking that that's what's going to save them, when really you're just running from yourself, and you need to save yourself first. And then that's whenever things become better. So basically you have to be able to heal certain parts within you. So the law of vibration, it talks about how sometimes you have unhealed things and you subconsciously find the unhealed portions of yourself in other people. So that's where like trauma bonds happen and things, because that unhealed side of you recognizes the unhealed side of that other person.
And it brings you together.
It brings you together. But once that portion of yourself is healed, then you're no longer looking for that unhealed portion in somebody else subconsciously.
It's like a board on a video game you accomplished. You're done with it.
Yes, but you have to work through it, or else you're going to continue to find that story in other people. And sometimes the things that you haven't worked on like within yourself is what brings out that other side of people in others, like that ugly side of people.
It's the things you can't see.
Yeah.
And energy works like this. When a person walks in a room, so-and-so, they can light up a room. Or it could be a family member, they got a smile, and you're like,
it's just contagious.
It's just contagious. Or it could be like, what's going on? Because I see that you're smiling. I ask you if you okay, but you're saying you're okay, but something just doesn't feel like you're okay. That right there is not what you see and hear, but that's what you feel through energy. Energy is a real thing. Yes,
and it's a different form of communication. So I think they say that like actual verbal communication is one of the lowest forms of communication.
It is.
Because we communicate in so many other ways, like our non-verbal communications, the way that we stand, the way that we're looking, the way that we feel, and all of it's all encompassed under spirituality too.
It is. Think about somebody that gave you bad vibes. They ain't said nothing, they ain't did nothing. It was just like
their demeanor.
Like you can't put your finger on it,
but
because there's something inside of here that just doesn't feel right around this individual.
See, and that's another thing with religion that they tell you to ignore. Then that's why I can't stand it because they basically tell you to ignore your intuition, and they fill your mind with other things and make you think that that's what your intuition is, and it's not. It's them constantly in your ear telling you negative things and telling you, don't trust yourself. You are not to be trusted. You cannot rely on your own understanding.
That's true.
Oh, so I have to rely on your understanding. Another human.
And this is a point I like to bring up with a lot of religions. If I am giving you things that where you benefit in the physical form, as in I'm giving you money, I'm giving you things to where you can buy a house, and in return, I'm not getting nothing in the physical. I'm just getting something that spiritually is going to happen down the line.
Right.
Something doesn't add. That's not an even exchange. So just like with us when we were Jehovah's Witnesses, we getting up Saturday morning. We're not enjoying our weekend. We getting up Sunday morning again. We going to the meeting during the week. We're going to service. I'm paying my money. So I'm going out recruiting more people. I'm paying my money for this.
It's a huge investment.
It's a big investment. And in return, I get my reward later.
Yeah.
That's what
likely after you die.
Yeah, after you die. So once you are dead and gone, then, and this is the thing, another point about religion, it is very arrogant for anybody to claim to have all of life's answers, or at least the majority of life's answers. The whole purpose of life is we don't understand everything, so we're constantly in search for our peace and our happiness and our whole journey of life and why we're here. That's the whole purpose of being here. But it would be arrogant for anybody to say this is how it goes. I can't necessarily give you the proof, but you just need to believe. You just got to believe it.
Yeah, this regardless. Is the absolute truth. You have to have faith in it. And if you don't have faith, well, that's on you. It's very arrogant. Like, even, and this is with us saying how we feel, but even now in our spiritual journey point that we're at, we can't sit here and say that we have all the answers because we don't.
No.
Have I studied every single religion? No, I have not. But at the end of the day, I've seen what has worked for me and what has not worked for me. I know how one thing makes me feel, and I know how another makes me feel. And even in regards to how I communicate and express myself with people that I don't necessarily agree with, I know how one makes me act, and I know how the other makes me act, and I know when I feel more connected. And I have to say, like, I feel super connected in the spirituality realm, like with everybody and with everything.
The good thing about spirituality is there is becoming limitless.
Yeah.
Religion sets limits to you to where I'm telling you what you can and can't believe, what you can and can't read, what you can and can't study. Spirituality is question every single thing you learn. So if something makes sense, doesn't make sense to you, question it. Look into it. The thing with, especially with Jehovah's Witnesses, something like you mentioned, the afterlife never made sense to me.
No.
It didn't sit right in my spirit, but it's like...
Because it doesn't make any sense
It didn't.
No.
So the main thing was you die, and that's it. There's no going to heaven. Your soul, there's no soul inside your body.
Yeah.
You are just a shell, and then you go into God's memory, and he going to think in this memory, and he going to snap you back to reality. And then once I went on this quest and understanding this where it comes down to religion to just becoming limitless. We're all matter. Matter can't be created or destroyed, so it has to go somewhere, and that's where it sparked. There's something else outside of life, and nobody can sit here and say this is the answer, that's it.
Yep.
No, it's not how it works.
Even being a nurse, I recently found like a hospice nurse little YouTube page, and she talks about all the people, like she's seen tons of people die, you know, and what happens before they die. But even as a nurse working in the hospital, there are certain things that happen whenever a person is about to die, and we can all basically, we know whenever somebody's about to die, okay?
Right.
We go and we tie knots on their bed sheets. It's like a thing that nurses do, so that they don't pass that night, okay? But anyway, before they pass, a lot of them see people from their past, like that have passed away and things like that. So you can't, that totally eliminated the thought of people just dying and becoming dust.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
No, there's some kind of energy field that happens where they're connected again, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's just interesting whenever you really set out to learn different facts about like mankind and about the world. So something that I found really interesting is that there used to be people that worship the sun. There still is, okay? The sun is 4.6 billion years old.
That's a long time.
That's a long time. So it was called like the sun god people, and that's where literally the god was the sun. Okay,
where they call people that worship, they didn't worship the sun as it was like a leader. They appreciated the sun because the sun gave everything for life, so they called them the sun people. So what they would do is try to twist it and say these people worship the sun god, which is how ironic now that people do what?
Worship the Son of God.
Let that sink in.
Please, just let this marinate, okay? Just think about it, okay? Just give it a thought.
Uh-huh.
So, if you appreciated the sun because it gave you everything,
right?
Okay, now you have Christianity and you have the Bible, which how old is Christianity?
So, if, like JT always says, you got to put it on the timeline.
You have
put
to
it
put
on the
it
screen.
timeline.
So, if you look at the oldest people that have been on the earth, that originates in Africa, over 200,000 years.
Yes.
And it's probably even longer than that. So think 200,000 years that humans have been on this earth.
Yes.
Break it down to how old is Christianity and the Bible? 2,000 years. So you have this big gap, 200,000 years, and in the last previous 2,000 years is when this belief came. Not to mention of Christianity. What was going on in between there? And a lot of people will try. This is where I like to ask people this question: how long has mankind been here?
Yeah.
How long has the Bible been here? Now fill in the blank. And now what they'll try to do is stretch the 2,000 years back even further and say, well, no, back then it was this going on. No, because the answer was clear 2,000 years. So something else was going on in between here. And all of a sudden when Christianity came, people were going and forcing and taking people's lives that didn't want to land that didn't want to conform to this new belief. If you didn't want to become a Christian, they were doing all type of evil things, chopping bodies up and doing things to kids and women that didn't want to become Christian until they were able to spread it.
Yep. And this is the thing about religion and spirituality. Religion has only been around for a little bit, okay? So even the oldest religion that they say it's Hinduism, right?
Right.
And even that dates back to 3,000 years ago. Okay, that's not very long ago. Whenever the sun is 4.6 billion years old, and the oldest mankind is 200,000 years. So what was happening? That whole section beforehand, spirituality was always around, because all spirituality is connectedness and your own self journey and connection to a higher power, okay? But without all this fluff. And fluff is what I call religion. Yeah,
because now you're giving titles that, all right, it was a man in the sky, or things like this, to where there's no real solid evidence of a person or a name to this person. And especially with the Bible being written, each Bible has a name at the top. And these names are people that are around. Imagine somebody telling the story of me thousands of years from now without technology, and there's just a bunch of he say, she say.
And you're going off of your memory that has only been inspired, not written, inspired by God.
There's no proof that God inspired, because think of it like this. Remember that example we said? Imagine if somebody said, you know, you get to your friend's house and before you got there, somebody did 3 backflips and landed up on the roof, but they can't do it again, but they did it before you got here. You would look at it like that's bogus. So the same thing with people saying 2,000 years ago we wrote, God told me, he spoke from the sky. He would do things like that, and he would come down and tell us to do these things, but he don't do it no more. But just take my word for it and follow this book that doesn't make complete sense.
Yes. And the thing, even about when it comes to the Bible, there's a lot of universal laws that are within the Bible. But when you're in the religion, you don't necessarily see them. You don't see that they followed stars in order to get to places that they needed to go.
Think of, sorry to cut you off.
You're fine.
That goes right along with following the stars, and also following, like when it's time for the Passover, certain time of year, the moon has to be in a certain alignment. It has to be after sunset. This is astrology.
This is for Jehovah's Witnesses specifically, because when it comes, we'll make a whole video about the memorial, but when it comes to the memorial, there's a lot of rituals and things that happen on that night that you're not even like consciously aware of that are happening. And then people want to try to act like, oh, the moon has no effect on us. The moon has an effect on water. We are mostly comprised of water.
Definitely.
I work in the hospital. I see how the moon has an effect on people, okay?
It's not a myth.
Yeah, it's not. Like, the cycles really do make you do weird things.
Right.
And if you're not consciously aware of it, you just
go with the flow.
Yeah, you're just doing it. You just had a bad day. You just felt all these emotions for no reason. But it has an effect on water. So yes, it has an effect on humans. And even on that night of the Passover, you have to be at the moon has to be at a certain point in the sky for us to commemorate Jesus Christ's death.
To pass around, think of this. If it was any other religion or belief, you passing around a representation of somebody's blood and drinking it, that's sacrificial things.
Yeah.
In any other religion, it would be considered that. But when it comes to Christianity, now it's the norm. It's okay. It's nothing wrong with that.
Always at night. Like, you guys don't think that's weird?
Yeah, that doesn't come off. You know what I'm saying?
Only special people can drink the blood of Christ. Only special people can eat the body of Christ. Like, we don't think that's weird.
That doesn't stun out to people, and it comes down to religion versus spirituality. Religion, you are given these facts. Don't question it. Just do it. If anybody tells you differently, they wrong. Yeah. But it's not telling you when somebody comes with something different.
Yeah.
Study it. Investigate it. Find out for yourself if it makes sense.
Yes.
It's strictly just do what we say.
Yeah. And I don't think ever in this lifetime I'll be able to study all 4,000 religions that exist. But what I can say is I do believe that there is a sacred text out there somewhere.
Yeah, the original text.
The original text, and it is sacred, and it does tell you all the truth. And I do believe that all religions kind of hold pieces of it. Like, they hold pieces of the puzzle. Yeah. But not all of them hold all of the pieces. It's almost like Thanos. Like, you have to get all the stones.
Yeah, that's kind of what that kind of represents. I think it's not so much like we're not saying just study beliefs and just make that your religion, but just go off of what you see in your everyday life. Mm-hmm. All right, so we put it on the timeline, 2,000 years, and it was 200,000 years of humans being here.
Yeah.
When these people around before the 2,000 years of this Christianity, they had temples, they had statues, they had beliefs, and for some reason, this stuff needed to be getting rid of. All the statues, the noses needed to have all the noses blown off with cannons, so it's hard to identify the features of these people. So it was something there in that information that needed to be covered up, and now all of a sudden we're forcing this to be the new thing, and we're trying to get rid of that. So somewhere in there, like you said, the sacred text, certain information was already there, and even when it comes down, we talked about a little bit about like the racist history of the religion, like Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
A lot of Africans or native people here in America didn't become Christians until they were enslaved. They couldn't read nothing else, but we're going to give you this Bible. We treat you bad. We don't even feed you good food. We torture you. We take your lives, but we're going to help you get into heaven.
Yep. And that was the slaves that made it over here, because a lot of them were jumping ship. They were like, I'm not dealing with this. Like, this is not the type of slavery that happened in Africa.
No. And then there were the people that were already here that were enslaved that were taught that, they were separated from their parents and grandparents, and now the younger ones are taught, oh, we got you from over there, not realizing you were already here and had your own beliefs, had your own language, had your own spirituality.
Yes,
and
they
now
stripped them of their history.
And now you give them a new history, and it teaches you not to go within to find these answers, but to accept what other people give you.
And that's another big difference, is that religion, you're constantly looking for something outside of yourself. Spirituality shows you through your life that everything is connected and it's within you. So whenever people say I am God, that's not an arrogant thing to say.
No.
Everybody should be saying that. The only difference is that I can recognize the God in me and you don't recognize it within you.
Yeah, because you feel like I can create my own reality now. That's the law of attraction, and it's not taught in religion that you can come up with your own life in your own vicinity. I can create these opportunities. I can have the life I want.
And if we all truly believe that we are one, then yes, you are. You are God. Like,
you were made in God's image.
That's how Christianity teaches it, and they teach it in kind of like a watered down way, so that it's like, okay, you were made in His image, but you are not that. But when you start thinking about everything, if you're made in God's image and still maybe people do like evil things, there's always darkness and there's always light. You cannot have one without the other.
No,
you cannot have light
balance.
without dark. Yes.
No,
so,
good and bad.
Yeah, and I think the difference is that you can be aware of it and you can recognize it within yourself.
Definitely.
Whenever you're on a spiritual journey, versus in religion, you're taught to try to hide and cover up the evil.
Yeah, basically, one of my favorite movies is the movie Soul. It's a cartoon. If y'all haven't seen it, but it's one of those things, like we said, it's arrogant to say this is what it is, but just ask questions and don't just accept things for what it is and go what makes sense to you on your own spiritual journey. But the movie Soul talked about, the guy was trying to find his purpose.
Yeah.
And he passed before he could find his purpose, and he goes up to, it wasn't necessarily heaven, it was just the universe. He went off into the universe, and he didn't get to find his purpose, so he had to come back and figure it out. Yeah. And when you just look at everyday life, this is not from reading a religious book or nothing. When you look at life, when people die, it always feels like, man, that was so soon.
Yeah.
Because they didn't get to fulfill their purpose.
Yeah.
And then you have other people, their life is coming to an end, like great people like a Tupac Shakur or something like that. They were at peace. He was only 25 years old, but he was comfortable with death coming because he felt he fulfilled his purpose. Your soul doesn't have an age. Souls don't.
Our bodies do.
Flesh.
The flesh has an age.
Yeah.
But what's within us does not.
Think about old people that act like kids that are goofy. They old, but they still silly and joke.
Young soul.
That's the soul, because the soul doesn't have an age. Your body may have gotten older and wrinkled, but you are still the same person within.
Yeah.
And that's what life kind of is. So some people fulfill their purpose in life, even though they look young. The job is done.
Yep.
And some people get through life and never get to figure it out. You know.
And it's given me peace to even think this way.
Right. It makes sense versus a lot of the unanswered questions you get in religion that, you'll figure that out down the line. Yeah. Or just saying, a simple religious person saying, I don't know. We don't have all the answers. No, religion usually says we have the answers. Yeah. Spirituality takes pride in basically saying, I don't know, but I'm going to keep looking. And every time I come across something new, I'm going to look into that too. But I'm not going to sit here and say that this is the only way to do it. And I'm not trying to be open to no new agreements. Right.
And you can still have spirituality even within religion.
Right.
It's just that those are some of the differences that we have seen between people who are spiritual and non-religious, and then people who are religious. Because you have people who are religious and who don't think consciously at all. They just go about the motions. They're just kind of lost in the sauce. But then you also have people in religion who you can feel are genuine people. Like they're good people and they are spiritually in tune. Like you felt those people even within the Jehovah's Witness organization. I remember them, and they're not so lost in the sauce to where they're like, oh, this is right, wrong, yada yada. They're just living their life, and this is something that gives them peace and makes them happy. And that's why we're also not in the field of going and trying to change everybody and force them to be spiritual people. No, because sometimes it's just not made for you. Like if being a Jehovah's Witness is what makes you a better person and you are comfortable being there and you are at peace being there,
that's your purpose.
Be there. That's your purpose. You know what I mean? But don't try to change me.
And that's where a lot of differences come with the religion versus spirituality. We have a lot of religious people in the comments. You got to accept Jesus. Like, there's not a go and figure out what makes sense to you. It's you got to. You have to.
No.
There's no other option but to accept Jesus.
Doesn't make me want to.
No. and instead of saying, you should look up if Jesus even makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing, if this God created everything, but doesn't give you clear answers and clear evidence, you shouldn't be forced to automatically accept it.
Yep.
This loving God should accept people going, I need more evidence before I just go along with this whole idea. I should be able to look within, but a lot of the time religion tells you, like you said, not to look within. Just accept what everybody outside of you is telling you to do.
Yeah, I think it's wrong for somebody to say, oh, Jesus is the only way, and that, Muhammad over here is not the way. But there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to get to the same destination.
Exactly.
And how do you even know his name was Jesus? How do you know his name was Muhammad? Like, you don't know. there's a message that was to be delivered. Did you receive the message?
That's simple. And if
Yes.
you want to even digging into that, for somebody to come to earth and be the greatest human alive, but didn't leave anything behind except for a book that other people wrote about him years and years after he was even here, you can't say that that's solid evidence for somebody to just accept it.
Yeah.
Because there's no museums with his things that he made as a carpenter. There's no gravesite that we can go see. So it's unfair to tell somebody, even though...
Just the temple in Europe
Yeah.
where he sat and read or whatever.
But that's just a he say, she say. There's no actual evidence of these type of things. So you can't go and force people to just go, well, even though you don't have all the clues accepted, because anywhere else in life, that's not something you would tell somebody. Even though I can't prove what I'm saying, just take my word for it anyways.
Right.
And base your whole life off of it.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
And for us, like the universal laws that those are things that can be proven and that we see every day. We test it every day.
Every day.
We test the theories, you know,
Yep.
and we have put it in our lives, and it's showed us, you know, that it exists, obviously,
does.
to some capacity. But yeah, I don't know.
It's one of those things, and we know this is something we learned from experience. This is not us just out of nowhere diving into something. It came from being devoted Christians to not seeing the results. There's no results in these things.
Yeah.
And to go, all right, well, this is another thing that maybe I can find happiness within instead of searching throughout this religion that's obviously making me depressed. And now I see, wait a minute, I'm not sad every day. I'm not feeling like I'm not enough every day. Now I have fulfillment in my life. And for somebody else to try to put their feet in my shoes and say, no, that's not how it's going.
Yes.
You don't have the rights to tell somebody that, just like spiritual people
No, 'cause you don't
understand
know.
that religious people are at this point on a journey to where this is what's beneficial for them, and that's totally
and that's what
fine.
makes sense. Yeah.
And it's a lot to really cover on this whole
It
topic.
really is. I feel like we're gonna end up making a separate, like another video about it too, because this was not here to, you know, poop on religion or anything like that. That's not how we feel.
No.
But these are just the beliefs that we have and that we have acquired over time.
Yeah, and this is why we're not religious people. People ask all the time, well, what's your beliefs? What's your beliefs? So hopefully that covered.
What's your new religion?
Yeah, we don't have a religion, and some people's minds, like we understand everybody's mind can't wrap around not being in a religion, just like somebody can't wrap around, why don't you have a favorite football team? Because I don't watch football. You got to. No, I don't have to, because
I don't have a favorite color.
yeah, it's many other things to entertain besides just things inside of this
Bubble.
this bubble. Yep.
Basically, God is in everything. God is in everyone, and yeah.
Yeah, life is creation in itself.
Yeah.
Everything is universal. Everything is all connected. We love animals. We love the earth. We love plants. We literally die and go back into dirt. The dirt grows food. We eat food. We breathe, you know, from the plants. We need the water.
Everything is
all
connected.
Everything is all one. Animals. We feel a connection with our pets.
Yeah.
Everything is all one.
Yep, and that's why it makes you feel so good to go out in nature. And I feel like I sound like a hippie, but it's true.
Yeah.
If you go out in nature or grounding, like whenever you walk barefoot on the earth, it makes your vibration higher. So you start, instead of feeling depressed, sometimes whenever you're sitting there feeling depressed, that's why they tell you to go on a walk, go outside, because that connectedness to nature, that's where we need to be. That's what we have to feel.
The beach. When people go to the beach, this is something that goes over people's heads. You go to the beach and you feel good. People love to go on vacation and relax on the beach. Why?
Yeah.
There's nothing materialistic about this. You're just sand, water, open sky, and sun, and you feel it uplifts you.
Yep.
Even with your health. When you eat, you know, certain herbs or vegetables and fruits, it's good for your body. This water, these things are natural from the earth.
Yeah.
And it's all connected.
It is all connected. And we could probably even do a separate video about how many things there is to block us from being able to feel that connection nowadays, like with our food and everything. Like there's people who drink nothing but soda, which is crazy. You have to drink water, okay? You're mostly made of water. You have to drink water. But there's stuff in there to literally block off us from feeling our best selves and having this interconnectedness to all living things.
Definitely.
Even whenever you get into like if anybody out there is into like chakras and things like that and being able to open up those different portals in you, we were taught that it was demonic in our religion. Like that's what we were taught.
To stay away from it. Even yoga was demonic. Stay away from it.
Meditation, demonic.
Yep, all of that stuff is not to be messed with, and you don't question it. And once you go on your spiritual journey, you look at all these. Of course, nothing crazy like you're not robbing banks or nothing like that, but little things like that, like crystals. Don't meditate. Don't do yoga. Things like that. Stay away from it. And you actually look at it and you experience it in real life. And you say, "I feel good, regardless of what this book told me. I feel." Okay, and there's no danger along with doing this.
Yes, it's a different level of like fulfillment. And before, it's like for me, I was a people pleaser. So like if somebody told me that I was doing something wrong, I would just take their word for it. Like, okay, I'm doing something wrong. And completely change. Now I've learned myself, and that's a different level of thinking. Now you can't necessarily tell me this about me. If I know that wasn't my intention, then I'm going to say that,
Right.
It helps you create boundaries, like
instead of just taking what they tell you.
Yes, you're taking me for who I am versus me taking myself for who I am. Like it's different.
Yeah, it's so much. We can go into the food, we can go into just everyday life. But what we want to ask y'all, have you ever noticed a pattern of thinking or speaking things and they become things you see in your real life? It could be like your cousin or a family member just got a blue Honda Civic, and now you are seeing Honda Civics everywhere because that's something that was unlocked in your mind, and now you notice it everywhere. Things like numbers. You might see the number 222, 111 all the time, and you notice it every day. I'm seeing this on the clock. I'm seeing this. It was a billboard. Just random things. I went to the store. My total came up to $111. What's that about? Things like you start to catch on to these things, but we'll save that for another video because it gets deep.
Yeah, so drop in the comments if you ever had those experiences, or if you guys just have any experiences that like cannot be explained in any other way.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yep. So make sure y'all hit us up and follow our new Instagram at Awaken Truths IG. And what else they got to do?
Like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll catch y'all
in the next video.
On the next one. Peace.